Hello, Year 6, and I wanted to start my video by initially saying how delighted we have been with all the narrative writing you've been sending through about the Blitz. They have been fantastic. They've been full of drama, they've been full of excitement, and we can tell that you've learned a huge amount about World War II because they're full of detail and information which make them very, very engaging. So well done, and thank you for all those people who've sent them through. It's not too late for those of you who haven't yet sent them through. We've also been really excited to see some illustrations that people have done when they've published their work, because it's always fantastic to publish your work at the end of a piece, just to really show off and say how proud you are of your writing. So this week we're going to do something a little bit different. You are still going to be staying obviously with the World War II theme, but this week you are going to be writing as if you were a government official, somebody working for the government, and you are going to be setting out and writing a letter to families to persuade them about why they should have their children evacuated. Right, I'm going to quickly share my screen with you and we can go through presentation which you've all been following. So day one, really, so let's say it's going to be Monday. Day one, what we want to do is we want you to identify what the key messages will be that government will be presenting to the parents to tell them why they should be evacuating their children. And we just really want you to identify two key messages. Keep it simple. Two key messages that government need to get across in this letter. Now, you've probably got a good idea of what these are anyway, but we want to make sure that they are in line with what the communication was going out at the time. So here are some resources that you can look at. You can look at the key messages that they would have had in these propaganda photos, which you're all now familiar with, but also we've got two audio recordings on the BBC. They're interviews of evacuees and interviews of host families, and that might help you about getting across this idea of what the two key messages are. So that's the first thing you need to do. So when you've listened to those interviews and you've looked at the posters, we'd like to get you to get a piece of paper in your working book, and we'd like you to split it literally down the middle. And on the left-hand side, as it shows here in my example, reasons for evacuating children. And on the right-hand side, we're getting you to think about what the family's concerns will be. Because obviously when you're writing a letter to somebody and you're trying to persuade them to do something, you've got to get across your message, but also you need to deal with any doubts that the person, the reader, is going to be. And those will be the concerns that family would have. So you've listed your any reasons that you think that why children should be evacuated. And then we want you to consider the family's concerns. Now, it might be very good at this point to have a little chat with anybody in your family and think about, put yourself into their position as an evacuee. What would it feel like for you and your family if they were having to send you away? And what would your concerns be? So that would be a really good starting point. And then I want you to draw on all those things that you've been learning about. Think about the propaganda posters, think about the radio interviews, any photos, anything you've done in history, newspaper articles, and even the book talks, because a lot of those book talks would have been, the authors would have used research to look up and think about really what was going on, so they were factually correct. So you might want to first make a list of questions that families might want answering, because within that letter, it might be sensible for the government to be able to communicate that. So on this side here, write a list of questions that the families might want answering. And then under this, you can also put the reasons why you think the families will be concerned. So that is what you need to do. This is all getting your ideas together, ready for your planning, which will happen tomorrow. So look forward to seeing your work when it comes through. Please do share it with us. We have been enjoying seeing your work on a daily basis.